My name is Julius Chavez. I'm a Navajo from Arizona, from Mini Farms, Arizona. Nowadays, we don't use the word Navajo too much. We call ourselves Dene. Loosely translated, it's called the Earth Surface people. Today, I will be demonstrating and doing my stories through sand painting. At home, we gather colored rocks, red and blue, yellow, white, and we gather these rocks and we grind them really fine. And we use this to do our sand painting. We draw on the sand. My grandparents have told me that when we do sand painting and we dump our sand here, we first have to sing to the sand. More importantly, we're singing to our ancestors because we never know that their bones are within this sand also. And there's been people on the surface of this earth for thousands of years, and we never know that their flesh or their bones have mixed with this sand. And so out of respect, we sing to our elders, we sing to these spirits to ask permission that we can use their body to tell our stories also, that they're never too far from us. So we prepare our sand. To us, this sand is like a school book. It's like paper. And we tell our stories on top of this smooth sand. We have to smooth it out. Just like our mind, we have to clear it out and make it free from bumps and from lines so we can concentrate, so we can tell our story here. Sand painting is used for healing purposes. It's also used to make sure that our stories are held together. Today, I would like to share with you a story about an important plant in the Southwest and what that plant means to us, and that this plant is the backbone to all our ceremonies that we have. And so I will be drawing this plant for you and telling you a little bit about what it means. This first symbol here, it represents the clouds and all the water that is in the clouds and also in the earth. The bottom symbol, and we'll paint it blue, represents all the water that follows the contour of the earth. The deep oceans and the deep lakes. It represents a young girl. That's what this first symbol represents, and all the water that is held in that way. The top symbol, this is a young boy. Sometimes when the rain falls from the sky, it makes its own course upon the earth, and it cuts into the earth It makes canals, it makes ditches, and the water in essence digs through the earth. The water has power to make canals and to make different lines on the earth. And that's what that top symbol is. And it's representative in a young boy. So we have these two elements. And then we go to our field and we dig a hole and we drop the seed in there, ready to plant, because the earth holds moisture and we can put our seed in there and plant it. And so the seed starts to sprout upwards. And pretty soon we see little shoots, little sprouts coming up. And they get bigger. And on it grows. And at the top of this, it's when it stops growing, we see the tassels on top of this. And then we see the tassels mature also. And this is kind of like a feather. In the stories that our elders say, that there's always a feather on top of things, and it helps to steady the plant. Sometimes we put a feather in our hair, and it helps to steady us in this life. And then these lines represent the dew that falls back down and the moisture gathers on this plant. Some of the dew will fall back down on this plant. And so we have our roots, and that's represented in these three lines at the bottom. That's the root of this plant, and it grows up. And then pretty soon the plant begins to mature. And we see the fruits. And you can see that it's a corn plant. The sand painting that I shared tonight, that's usually the key figure in most of the sand paintings, that corn. That one usually starts the whole ceremony off. And that's where our story is, our migration story, and like what I was saying, the laws that are held within the corn. I think they're being forgotten just by the way we treat each other nowadays, looking out and how we're kind of insensitive to one another. There's a lot of I guess brutality going on and a lot of disrespect going on. So that's what prompted me to start sharing this. And people may not agree with me for doing this, but I think we live in a time now where we need to share the whole part of the story instead of just the shell. You know, people, we don't become strong just by the shell of something. You know, we have to get inside and learn the meat of it, learn what really is, what that symbol really represents. And to us, that's the backbone. That's the backbone to our people, that corn and that path. And so that you see that it's a corn plant. This is one of the most important foods that we have. And there are many types of corn. And this corn doesn't stand by itself. There's a lot of things that happen inside a cornfield. Then one of the most important part about this plant is that there's a bird that sits on top of this. And this is the bluebird. There's a bluebird that sits on top of this plant, and he sings on top of this plant. He sings about the corn. He's the first bird to move around to tell us to wake up and to see this plant and to see our beautiful cornfield. And then we have others that come to the plant, and these are the insects. So you see the different flying insects come. We use the dragonfly to symbolize all the insects that eat off of this too. And then on top of this, there's a certain colored light that happens after every storm. No matter how bad that storm is, once it clears, once it leaves, it always leaves a beautiful mark in the sky. And this is the rainbow. And we say that the rainbow the rainbow also has its own colors too, and it also has feathers. And that's what holds it up in the sky. And then when the corn matures and the corn itself starts to come out, then we have the pollen that comes back down on the plant itself. And this is what the insects are after. They want to eat this pollen that's on this plant. So when I was young like you, my grandparents would help me to understand these. I would go to ceremonies, and I'd always see the corn plant. And it was later in my life that they started telling me what these things mean. They say a long time ago, our people migrated. They migrated to the 4 directions like this, all throughout the earth. And some of them went and they stayed where they stayed. But we were told to turn around and to come back to the center where we started our migration. And these migrations went for thousands of years. Like I say, some people stayed where they were at, like down in South America. They forgot to turn around, we say, even to the east. But there's corn everywhere. They took corn to these 4 directions. But we were told to come back to the center. And when we came back to the center, there was a man standing there. And all he had was a bag of corn, and he had a digging stick. And we asked, we've come back. Is it all right if we live here? We asked permission to live there. And he said, I want your leaders to come forward and sit around just the way you're sitting. I want to tell you about this corn. I want to give you something. He says there's three things that he asked us to do. He said, you have to be willing to work hard if you want to live here. Then you have to be willing to endure hardship, he said. And then this third one, he said, you have to be willing to be humble on this land. Those are three things that you need to remember if you want to live here. And so the people sat down like this, and he drew this. He says, this is called the staff of life, or the tree of life, and you will remember it the whole time that you're living here on this land. He said, this is my path right here. He said, I am the water upon this land, and I'm also the bird. He says, I am the beginning, and I'm also at the end. This is my road right here, he said. On this road, you're going to experience good, and you're going to experience bad. That's why there's 2 ears of corn to remind us about the good and the bad. And so he said, you need to learn to live on the straight path. He says, way far behind me, where you can't see, that's where I'm telling you you're going to go. He said, the path is long, and you can fall off this way and fall off that way. He said, that's what this is. And for you to remember that path, it represents your children, he said to us. So you children, this is who you are right here. And he said, these roots right here, you have to put these roots clear down into the ground. And they have names. There's 3 of them. He said, this one, this middle one, is called the law of love. This one on this side is the law of respect. And this one on this side is the law of harmony. He said, everything you say and do will hinge on these laws, on this road of mine, he said. And so we agreed. We agreed to live here and to hold this corn. And we agreed to work hard. We agreed to endure hardship, and we agreed to be humble so that the corn can continue to grow. And as he was saying this, there was somebody way over here on this side, and he didn't agree with what was going on. He said, we deserve a better place to live. Because this is dry, this desert, there's no water here. He didn't understand what was being taught. And he got so uncomfortable and so angry that he let out a howl. And that's why there's a red streak in the rainbow. It's because it's to remind us that people won't always agree with us. They will always have their own idea and their own way. And so he put that red streak in the rainbow from his howling, and that was the coyote. And so we're supposed to use good judgment when we see that color in the rainbow. And so this became the backbone to all our ceremonies. You probably heard the prayer that says, there will be beauty above me, below me, behind me, in front of me, and all around me. When you hear that prayer, it means this right here. It means our children, this path of life. And they say this is the path to good leadership too, that leadership starts up here. And by experience, you come up here to where this bird is. And you can steady your people, and you can look out for them and watch for them as they come up on this path of life. Nowadays, without having the experience of coming up this path to try to lead the people. And so that's what this sand painting is. And when Grandma and Grandpa were done telling this story, Grandma would take her weaving batten, and she would erase the whole picture like this. And there's nothing left. You can see. Again, remember the 3 things. Work hard, and learn to endure hardships, and above all, learn to be humble.